Level 5, Lesson 9.
For this lesson, we're going to explore some moves that come from stretching from a front step instead of a rock step. So far, we've done a lot of discussion about stretch from a rock step. So like if Mark did a rock step with his left and I did a rock with my right, we stretch away from each other. And we've discussed the engagement of the shoulder muscle that happens and that our arms are in counter body and away from each other. And this stretching away that we call stretch, we've used this for a lot of our various moves, and hopefully you're really comfortable with it now. So we're going to even go into this a little bit further as we go into some moves that use a front step stretch. So we're going to go back to this stretch first. And one thing we want to discuss about this is that it's not just the act of moving away from each other. What we were trying to do here to create the feeling of stretch is engaging not just the shoulder we're connected with, but really both shoulders, and making the feeling of stretch happen because our whole bodies are stretching as well. So if I was on my own here and I wanted to create a feeling of stretch, I might stretch out both my limbs to create a feeling of stretch within myself. So if I'm connected to a partner and I'm able to replicate that feeling of stretch within myself, that will be really clearly communicated. So we have to remember a few things about that feeling of stretch. It doesn't happen by tightening up all of our muscles in our arms. It really is just engaging these shoulder muscles as we move our shoulders away, move our arms away from each other. So as we go into this stretch, here and we stretch and we're creating a feeling of stretch within ourselves. The rock step isn't quite as important as what we're doing in the upper body. So let's take that idea. Now, if we connected, let's say, cross hands, and Mark reached back with his right arm, and now he's stretching with a different arm, we have a little bit of a different arm-to-body ratio, but the stretch feeling should feel the same. So we could do the same thing with cross arms from here and a different foot. Or we could do cross arms and maybe we're going to switch feet. So I'm going to go to this foot, Mark's going to go to that foot. We can create the same feeling a lot of different ways. So some of the moves we're going to do today, we're going to change this up even further. Mark's going to turn around and face the opposite way as me. And so now we're still connected at the arms, but he wants to communicate a stretch feeling to me. So the way he's going to do that is by extending his arms and creating that feeling of stretch in his own body. I'm going to, in turn, match that feeling of stretch. So we can create this feeling of stretch in a lot of different ways. So as we go into a few of our moves, we'll be discussing that further. So the first move we're going to teach, we call the reverse side pass. This is my right arm and also Mark's right arm. Now he's able to lead this move by facing away from me. This is one of my favorite moves to follow when it's led correctly. So leaders, we're gonna go ahead and do a forward rock with the left foot. So if you watch Mark, he's gonna reach forward with his left and extend both arms, and that's how he's gonna create that feeling of stretching away. Since his left foot is free most of the time and my right leg is free most of the time, the stretch ends up being looking a little bit like this. Almost like we're twisted a little bit. But that way he's able to create that feeling of stretch. His shoulders are both engaged, but he keeps his arms relaxed. And the front step gives him even more of that feeling of stretching away from me. Now he could lead this exact same stretch by doing a rock step with the left, as long as the arms continue to engage the shoulders and do a stretch away from his body. So because I'm behind Mark and he's facing away from me, we find this move a lot easier if Mark chooses the front step with his left foot, because that lets him stretch away from me a lot easier. What you will notice about this is it's no longer counter body, where so far all of our stretch moves have been arms in opposition of the legs. You'll find if you do that front step, it's no longer the case. And so it's not going to really be counter body for Mark, but it will be for me because I'm not facing away from him. Now, if I was this way, then we might have sort of the same problem where I'm not in counter body either. And it's not necessarily a problem. The important thing is that we are communicating stretch and that we're going to do a move from this stretch. All right, so Mark's going to do that front step and create a feeling of stretch. And we've learned in our other lessons, the arms are going to move on the and beats. So this ends up being just like a rock step and the arm swing after the rock step. So Mark's going to do that front step and swing the arms after his front step. So front step, arm swing. Now that swinging of the arms is what's going to create the side pass for me. So we'll show this. And so we have, are we ready? We have a rock step, arm swinging, leads into that triple step. Now the second triple step, leaders, it's important that you set up this open position before the second triple step, and that tells me to do a second triple step and make the move a 6-count move, so I end up facing Mark and we're back in open position. So once again, we have a rock step, arm swing, triple step. He sets up open position, so I know to do that second triple step and end the move. So this reverse side pass is a really unique move in that the leader's facing away. So the easiest way to get into that move, Margaret's going to do a 6-count underarm pass. And as he comes out of the pass, he's going to go ahead and keep his body facing this way. We notice he traded hands. That allows him to do that front rock stretch into the side pass. We're going to take this same idea and apply it to a common move you've already learned, the tuck turn. So in the past, we've done the tuck turn with a round rock, where we're matching each other and creating a stretch by rotating away from each other using that counter body movement. So Mark can create that same feeling of stretch by doing a front step. So he's going to do a front step with his left, but he's going to reach the arms away from each other to create a feeling of stretch within himself. And he's engaging his shoulders, and that causes me to do the same round rock step and a same stretch. It creates a different type of feeling within the stretch. Instead of really feeling that matching of the round rock this way, he does more of an elongated stretch by using a front step. So we see a lot of people do this variation of the tuck turn. It feels a little different and it looks a little different, but it's still a great way to practice that front step stretching. So follows, because Mark's still leading a round rock step, my arms end up still being counter body, just like a regular round rock step. So if I was on my own, they're twisting away from my leg. So the right arm, sometimes I feel like I want to swing it out, but it really should come across my body when he leads it this way. So rock step, then he'll still come to closed position. So he puts his other hand on the middle of my back, so I know to match in closed position. And because we're keeping hands in the middle, we're still able to complete the tuck turn. So we could do an 8-count out of this, where he leaves his arm up and then brings it down before the triple step. Or we can make it a 6-count tuck turn with a rock step, closed position, arm comes straight down to finish that triple step. Our next move is a perfect example of this forward rock as a stretch. So we're going to do a rock step and lead that stretch into a triple step. And now Mark immediately is going to engage another stretch on this direction. And you can see here we're both facing away from each other, but I can definitely feel that his whole body is stretching out. So I match that as well. And now the stretch that happens is not a counter body stretch, but we're going to use that front step, arm swinging after the front step into the triple step. Similar to the underarm pass, there's a really important lead happening with Mark's arm that's really subtle. He's going to leave it slightly up to tell me to continue a forward motion, which is different than when he brings it down, telling me to turn around and look for his shoulders. So similar to like an underarm pass where I go on this side, I'm going to continue my motion forward until Mark brings his arm down, and then I'm going to turn around. So what makes this move really special is that he's going to keep his arm in that up, slightly up position, telling me to continue forward, and he leaves it there until he starts the next stretch in the front step. And so that way I don't ever turn around. So leaders, you may notice that as you're leading this this underarm pass, that she wants to turn around this way. And so then what may be happening is that you're bringing the arm down. So we could do a variation of this move where Mark does bring his arm down really quickly, and that tells me to turn around and face him. But the one we want to do creates that really cool stretch away from each other. So he has to leave that arm just slightly up until he's ready. And so you can see it's still up high, and then he goes right into his stretch away. And then we can start again.